Hey guys, welcome back again to the Zeal Cigar Review. Today, we're talking about the Fallout cigar and what you should do when you get your very first COOLIDOR or electric humidor. All next on the Zeal Cigar Review. All right, JB, we got two cigars in front of us, and one of these cigars I have been smoking for a long time now, and it is a coveted cigar here, and I absolutely love it. This is called the Fallout. And have you had this before?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Yeah?
I typically smoke the box pressed, so
Right.
I grabbed a round one this time.
Okay.
Because it's been a while since I've smoked a round one, so I wanted to see what the difference was.
It looks a little Padron-like, if you would. But I would say it smokes very, very well. It's very smoky, very airy, it's got a lot of flavor to it. But in order to tell you what these smoke like and to tell you about the humidor ideas, it's time to cut, light, and
Smoke.
Today is a special day for me, and it is the fallout of me having my very last child graduate from high school, which I'm very excited. My daughter, Madeline, who just turned 18, is graduating tonight, and we get to sit in 90-degree weather and watch it. Why they have not moved at a Scottsdale school indoors like every other Scottsdale school, I have no idea. So with that said, it's got to deal with it. Very, very sweet and toasty on the retrohale just from the jump. I think it's an absolute banger of a cigar, to be honest with you. And it's kind of a, unspoken rule that you smoke this slowly. So I'm gonna do my best to smoke it slowly. When you heat a cigar up like this, it tastes more burnt. When you smoke it appropriately, slowly, it actually tastes very, very good.
Nicaraguan Puro, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. There is a difference between the box press and the round, but I don't remember what the distinct difference, which is why I wanted to smoke the round one this time.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what the difference is. But yeah, dude, so what does somebody do if they buy a new electric COOLIDOR, man? Electric humidor.
Well, I can see several steps that you have to go through. Okay, the very first one is just unpacking. Unpacking the humidor, and the second thing you have to do...
Can't use it in the box?
You can't use it in the box. The second thing you have to do, and a lot of people overlook this step, is inspect it for any damage. A lot of times when you have humidors at that size, like COOLIDORs that are shipped to you, once in a while you can get damage. And you want to inspect them. I've had several shipped to me, and one out of I'd say probably 20-something I've had shipped to me, literally have damage. And so I had to contact the manufacturer, tell them this is damaged, and so on and so forth. And they usually send you another one. And they'll send you a call tag to send the other one back. So make sure you inspect it for damage. After that, you need to go get 3 things. Okay, before you do anything, 3 things. The first one is distilled water. The second thing is propylene glycol. And the third thing is, we have Mr. Beast to thank for this one, water beads.
What's Mr. Beast got to do with water beads?
Well, if you don't know this, he was, I think, maybe one of the first ones to ever, fill a pool up with water beads and then fill it up with water and then swim in the water. It's absolutely incredible. It's a really good video. But I want to say this. A lot of people will just put distilled water in their humidors or their COOLIDORs, and distilled water goes very, very quickly. What propylene glycol does, particularly with the water beads, it hydrates the water beads, and it takes a lot longer for those to shrink and or disperse the water, and it tends to disperse more evenly and equally throughout the humidor. If you don't do that and you just use distilled water, like I do sometimes, you're going to find the water beads go a lot quicker because you have a fan in there blowing everything around. And so if the water beads have propylene glycol in there, which is a humidification agent, what you're going to do is give the water beads a lot more time to disperse that water.
Yeah, it slows down the evaporation process. The propylene glycol is a lot thicker, kind of almost like an olive oil or like a baking oil. Canola oil. It's a lot thicker.
Right.
So when mixed with the proper amounts of distilled water, it'll slow down that evaporation process. It just makes the water a lot thicker.
Yeah, and you can absolutely find all of this on Amazon. In fact, many people have asked me several different times, hey, can you just get this for me? And so we actually sell a little bitty cup full of water beads that are already humidified. So you take those if you have a smaller, maybe desktop humidor, just put it in there, or maybe acrylic humidor, just put it in there. It's a very quick and easy set it and forget it thing. So after you have those three things, what's the next thing you do, JB?
Well, I would plug it in and make sure that it actually functions properly, especially if it has a compressor. If after you check it for the damage to make sure everything's okay, if it has a compressor on it, you definitely want to make sure that compressor is going to work properly, both for, especially when it comes to cooling and taking the humidity out. So I would say definitely want to plug it in and make sure that everything functions.
Yeah, a lot of times people just take for granted and they start humidifying everything and getting all the beads ready. You want to make sure it functions correctly, turn it on, make sure the lights work and everything if it has lights in it. And if it doesn't,
stabilizes temperature.
Right, stabilize temperature. If it doesn't, make sure you contact the manufacturer immediately, or Amazon or wherever you got it from, and send it back immediately and create a call tag.
I would even add something else that I would do to this. Like you were talking about the water beads and getting the propylene glycol and the solution, the distilled water.
Yeah.
I would get a second hygrometer.
Yes.
Now the particular COOLIDOR that we're talking about right now comes with a digital hygrometer in it. But I'm going to be honest, I always run at least 2 to 3 inside my COOLIDOR.
Yes.
Just to make sure that one of them isn't off and that I'm as close to accurate as possible.
And I think digital is the way to go, to be quite honest. The analog ones actually have to be set or tempered correctly. And you can do that with a little cap from a water bottle, some salt, create it with a paste with distilled water, and then put it in a little baggie, and then calibrate the analog dial to 75, because it'll be 75 in that bag regardless, in that little bitty sandwich bag. But you can bypass all that simply by getting a digital, which is within spec 1 to 2 degrees, 1 to 2 points off on humidity, if you would.
There's something that you would normally do to a wooden humidor.
Right.
But there's kind of a controversy on whether or not you do it with a COOLIDOR or with like an electronic humidor, right? And that's seasoning the wood. Now, one of my big things, I personally, I don't season the wood in them until I have to.
Really?
Yeah. How you gonna put the shelves back in when the wood swells up?
Well, the wood has never swelled up on me.
Then you didn't season
so much
it
so,
enough.
and I did season it completely correctly.
Because wood always swells when it gets wet.
So this is called a disagreement, okay, among friends. So that disagreement is always trumped by the person who's older and has more experience. And so what I will tell you,
I think we've been smoking about the same amount of time.
what I will tell you is that I would definitely wipe down everything with cedar in there before you put your cigars in there and let it sit for 24 hours to get it properly seasoned. Some people have not done that and had success, and you're not the only person I've heard that from. Some people don't do that at all. Okay,
I've done it in one, and I haven't done it in another.
Okay.
And the one that I did it in, I couldn't get the drawers back in because they swelled up, and it actually cracked the plastic in the Ado humidor when I tried to push the drawers back in.
Okay.
And to be honest, that Ado is so small, I don't even know if it really required any extra because it never had an issue with humidity. And then when I got the winter, or the new air that I have now at the house when you gave it to me, I did not do anything with that one as far as wiping the wood down or anything like that. But I've also never had a humidity issue in there.
Okay.
Now, if my humidity levels were low and there was nothing else that I could figure out that was causing humidity level, meaning there wasn't a leak in the humidor, I didn't have an under amount or an over amount of cigars in there, I had the proper humidification in there. At that point, if it was staying low, I would probably then shut the humidor down, take everything out, season the wood, and then proceed.
Yeah, so I know the one I gave you was already pre-seasoned because I seasoned it. I also would say that when you did that with the Ado humidor that you had, when you seasoned the wood panels that come with it, did you put them in automatically, or did you let them sit and just let them sit? Or you did them right away and then put them back in, or did you just let them sit in there and then put them back in later?
Put them back in immediately because I knew it was going to swell.
Yeah, okay.
Wood always swells when you get it wet. It's going.
It absolutely does. It absolutely does. I've never had that issue before, and I've seasoned pretty much every COOLIDOR I've had. But to season or not to season would be a personal preference by you guys. So, like JB said, if you don't want to season them, go ahead and try it without it and see if the humidor regulates. If it doesn't, obviously try seasoning them just with distilled water. You don't have to put any propylene glycol or anything like that. And because what cedar does essentially is it absorbs extra humidity and releases humidity as well. So, and it also gives your cigars a nice cedar kind of flavor, if you would, as your cigars age in there over time. And so that's one of the reasons we want to make sure that you properly have it humidified and seasoned if need be.
Yeah, I haven't had problems either one of mine with humidity. Okay, so you have some of the thermoelectric humidors that are not plastic. Like most of the ones that people buy have plastic in them, right? There are the really nice wood stand-up ones that you can get that also have compressors and thermoelectric controllers in them.
Correct.
That one I would season 100%, no questions asked. It's all wood inside. 100%, no questions asked. I would season that one from the beginning.
One of the other steps you want to have too is make sure you have enough cigars to put in there. And so a lot of people will get a humidor, get it seasoned and everything else like that, get the water beads all set, and have like 3 cigars they put in there. You actually want to stack it up. If it's a 200 count or a 300 count, you want to put at least 100 cigars in there. So maybe buy a couple boxes here and there, start stacking it in there, and maybe you're transferring it from another place. During that time, maybe you have a bunch of cigars and your other humidor is going down, so you get another one. You could put those in a bag with a Bovita pack and let them sit there for a day, and they should be fine. But you want to definitely make sure you have a good amount of cigars in there, because your humidor will be working so much harder and releasing so much more humidity to try to get that little amount of cigars humidified that it'll actually throw off the humidity for you. So you want to have a good amount of cigars in there and not just 1, 2, or 3, or maybe even a 5-pack, particularly if you have a 200 count or more COOLIDOR.
Yeah, I don't know if this is any kind of general rule of thumb that anybody really says, but my kind of thought process is somewhere between 30 and 50% of what the humidor can hold.
Right. I would agree with that. Yeah,
I usually lean more towards the 50%, but that's not economical for everybody. I understand that, but I would say 25 to 50% of what the humidor should hold, you should have in the humidor at any given time.
And the guy that gets the electric COOLIDOR, if you would, the thermoelectric one, maybe you live in a cold spot or a hot spot. What this does is it regulates your cigars perfectly, regardless if you're in a cold climate or a hot climate. We tend to be in a very hot climate, so it's usually running cool all the time. But when it gets cold out here, what you'll see happen is it'll kick on some of the heat there, or if you're in a cold climate, it'll kick on the heat so that your cigars won't get too cold. Now, when it comes to cigars, getting them too cold can lead to lack of humidity, can lead to cracking the wrapper and things like that. Too hot, you can actually get beetles, particularly if the humidity's way too high.
Wait, they're going to come sing a song?
Oh,
we all live in a yellow sub. No?
I totally didn't understand the Beatles reference at that point. Yeah, I know. It went over my head. But so my question for you guys is, and then once you've done that, one of the reasons we want you to wait for about 24 hours before you put your cigars in there is just to give the humidor a time to kind of settle and the wood to kind of expand and kind of retract the way that it needs to be when it's finally set in there. And then you can put your cigars in there to your heart's content. And a lot of guys, including myself, tend to put a lot more cigars in there because we know that there's going to be a lot of... So my home humidor holds probably about 1,000. I probably about 500 in there right now. So I need to put some more in there as a result of even do this video. But yours, you probably have, what, about 500 in there? Maybe more? Yeah.
I don't know, to be honest. Mine's probably a 500 count, and it probably has somewhere between probably about 250 to 300, I would say. I don't want to count it.
Okay.
I don't want to know.
Okay. Well, tell us your thoughts on COOLIDORs right now. Is there something that we missed? Is there a step that maybe you do that could really add to the conversation here? Drop a comment below and let us know what you think about the steps that you need to take when you get a COOLIDOR. The guy that gets a COOLIDOR is somebody who's obviously into cigars or really interested in aging cigars. And a COOLIDOR is an absolutely great way to age your cigars. I have certain cigars in my COOLIDOR that I've had for about 3 or 4 years. One of the oldest cigars that I have in there, I've had for about 8 years. So if you're somebody into like aging cigars, a COOLIDOR is absolutely the way to go.
I'm a big believer in them just because like I'm a big person on like workflow, like finding out the small things in life that you can automate essentially, right? Make more efficient. And having a COOLIDOR, you don't have to think about it. You really don't. Like if I go on vacation for 2 months, there's not a single person or a single thing that I have to say in regards to that COOLIDOR.
Right.
I don't even have to think about it myself. I don't have to check the app when I'm gone. I just do what I need to do before I leave. make sure it's whatever, and then I leave, and then I'm gone. I don't have to worry about it. And I could probably go for, honestly, I could probably go away for a couple months without having to worry about it, to be honest.
Absolutely. From time to time, you definitely want to check your Coolidor and check the digital hydrometers in there to make sure that you're good. And on every single shelf, it's accurate to the humidity that you want for your cigars. Because sometimes you might get cigars up top not getting as much air as the other one, and that's when you have to move cigars around a little bit. Make sure you have some aeration there. And this is the product we've been talking about. It's the King Chai Coolidor, and here's some beautiful bean footage on that. So for the Zeal Cigar Review, I've been Bradley. This has been JB. We're out of here like last year. Peace.